world of special forces, covert operations, and counterterrorism, intelligence and information are commodities that cannot be given up lightly. Loose lips are a liability, and silence is the only reliable comfort to ensure security and integrity. The battlefield is often loud and chaotic, but in the silence and the stillness is the voice of God, and that voice carries authority over the battlefield. And there is one operator who can bring that silence to the opposition: Mark Chander, nicknamed Mute. Mark was born on October 11th in York, England. Mark was an outstanding student academically. He graduated secondary school when he was only 12 years old, and during his gap year, he interned at a British tech company where he made strides in security system design and functionality. Despite his apparent genius and high intellect in the fields of science and electronics, Mark had a fascination for history and antiquity, reminiscing about walking to and from school and stopping to stare at the Gothic cathedral in his hometown, admiring the architecture, history, and austerity. 2 years after he graduated secondary school at the age of 14, he was accepted into the Department of Engineering at Cambridge University, majoring in electronics and computer engineering. He would go on to earn his bachelor's in science and engineering and then a PhD in electrical engineering. Genius rarely goes unnoticed and unappreciated, though. The British Naval Security Office reached out to Mark upon discovering his acuity in code breaking. He was hired on as an intelligence officer with an SIGINT. His skill set later caught the attention of the SAS, and eventually Rainbow. But years of being the youngest and smartest one in the room filled Mark with a sense of disconnection from others. He is a curt speaker, saying little when addressed and embodying the phrase, "brevity is the soul of wit." Many assume his nickname Mute comes from his silent and reserved demeanor, and Mute has joked that he doesn't talk often because he just doesn't like the people around him. But the truth is that Mute keeps his cards close to his chest. Mute is impatient and often feels that his approaches to problem solving are the correct ones, sometimes unable to recognize the others in the room having ideas of their own. He can't be entirely blamed for this, though. Mute grew up around intelligent inferiors who all admired his brilliance and looked to his knowledge. He is not used to looking to others for guidance or looking up to others. Because of this, his comments, when given, are often abrupt, brash, and blunt. And this can come off as rude to others, but it's not usually intentional. For all his skills in science and electronics, Mute struggles socially. In an odd state of affairs, Thatcher, an operator with years of experience and little patience for young rookies with attitudes, has an outstanding amount of patience for Mark and often speaks up in his defense when he comes off under scrutiny from others, indicating that Thatcher sees potential in him, enough to let slide some of his more abrasive attitudes. This is saying a lot too, since Thatcher actually punched Lyon in the mouth once for a comment he made in the past. But while in Rainbow, Mute has attempted to form connections with similar personalities to his. But rather than pursue other geniuses or gifted scientific minds like IQ, he instead gravitated towards Glaz. This is likely because Mute and Glaz are both abstract thinkers, finding minor details and complexities in everything they do and learning new ways to deconstruct and find new things for them to explore. He's an analytical mind, and it shows in his approach to both problems and the world at large. And despite his young age, Mute is 25 years old, Mute has the potential to be an insightful and gifted teacher to his fellow operators, not just in the sciences, but in patience, social skills, and interpersonal cooperation. This was demonstrated well when Nighthaven split from Rainbow. Fellow SAS operator Smoke had joined the former Rainbow operators to defect to Nighthaven. Mute had been more than a little disapproving of this choice. While Smoke stated that it took guts to follow his heart, Mute was less cordial about the defectors. Perhaps it's because he had started learning to build the connections among Rainbow that Harry hoped he would, that he's begun to establish something of a loyalty to the organization and his newfound comrades. Mute's Gadget is the GC90 Moni signal disruptor, of which he carries 4 at the start of the match. Mute can plant these disruptors on any flat horizontal surface, usually floors, and all attacking electronic devices within their range will be jammed. Their jammers have a radius of 2.25 meters, which is enough to cover 2 reinforced walls and can even jam breakable hatches if planted directly below them. The jammers can be seen by IQ and can be disabled by Thatcher's EMP grenades. If an operator stands within range of a Mute jammer, they will be guarded from most forms of electronic scanning tech, like Lion's scan drone or Dokubi's phone hacks. An attacking drone that comes into range of a disruptor cannot move, turn, or scan, and will be clouded by static. Other items that can be jammed and nullified by Mute jammers include claymores, breach charges, shock drones, Fuse's cluster charge, Jackal's Inox, Blitz's flash shield, Finka's adrenal surge, Ace's Selma breaching rounds, Nomad's air jabs, etc. In other words, if it runs on electricity, the jammer will nullify them once in range. This makes Mute a hard counter to many operators on the attacking team, and a character you definitely want to keep handy.
Jammer ready.
Barbed wire going up.
Throwing jammer.
Active.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds left.
Reload.
You must protect your bombs from being defused by Op 4. Jammer.
That's razor sharp. Razor wire set. Bullseye got us a drone.
But not just his gadget is amazing, though it is, he also has a very nice loadout. In terms of his loadout, Mute carries 2 optional primaries and 2 optional secondaries. The MP5K submachine gun is, frankly, a beginner's best friend. It has great damage per shot, a good rate of fire, and low recoil when firing. Its compact and tight nature makes it excellent in close to moderate ranges, and it's a headshot machine. Its only real weakness is a bad damage drop-off, and it lacks many grips that can be used. Otherwise, though, this gun is the best one you could ask for if you're new to the game.
Op 4, last operator standing.
The M590A1 shotgun is a reliable and effective pump-action shotgun that boasts high damage per pellet and a pretty quick pump cycle, with a low damage drop-off and excellent utility. It doesn't have a great deal of ammo reserve, but if combined with the SMG-11 sidearm, the shotgun is an ideal choice, but we'll talk about the SMG later. The shotgun can be a game changer in close range, and its recoil is rather manageable considering it's a shotgun. I do actually recommend this. It's probably my favorite shotgun in the game besides the one Legion carries.
Remember, it's not always about quantity.
Popping smoke. Time for a wake-up call. Laying down smoke.
Op 4, last operator standing.
Reloading. Cover me.
The diffuser is no longer in your possession. The diffuser is now secured. Op 4 eliminated.
The P226 Mark 25 handgun is a rather nice handgun that has slightly higher than average damage output per shot, a decent ammo capacity, and a low recoil. It is capable of downing lightly armored operators like IQ in just 2 shots at close range, and it's a fine choice if paired with the MP5K, as the submachine gun can unload heavy rates of fire, and this pistol is a fine fallback for more controlled fire. And finally, the SMG-11 machine pistol is a death-dealing secondary with high damage output but suffers from an unstable recoil and a small magazine capacity. It can be devastating in close, but the further a target is, the harder it will be to manage and sustain bursts. It combines well with a shotgun, as a shotgun can be your good go-to for close danger, and then if you need a higher rate of fire for a swift burst, this gun is a fine fallback. But be warned, the kickback on this gun is insane. Alright, so strategies. What do you want to do with Mute? With Mute, placement is everything. You only have 4 jammers, and where you put them really does matter. The key will be making the decision on what matters most in your match. Know your terrain and know your teammates. There are 3 main ways of using Mute. First is called Drone Denier. It's a favorite strategy of Mute's to plant your jammers at entry points of the objective to deny drones a chance to see the objective. Now here's the thing. I don't particularly support this strategy wholesale unless a few conditions are met. First, if there are very few entryways possible, so that means you can guarantee full coverage, and you have Mozzie on your team to capture enemy drones. The reason this strategy isn't so useful is simple. While it can prevent drones from entering the objective, you can't always guarantee full coverage, meaning once the match starts, you've planted jammers in useless locations now, and it will take time to move them again. Plus, even if the jammers do block all drones, most attackers know the maps well enough that they'll figure out where you're based and where the drones went offline. Think about it like this. If a drone is moving up the stairs and suddenly goes offline, they know you're probably upstairs and have narrowed down their search pattern. The second strategy, though, is a little bit more useful. The Wall Defender. Reinforce all walls around the objective and plant mute jammers next to them, usually right in between 2 reinforcements stuck together. That's the best way to get full coverage. This is a more sound strategy to me, as it will deny most hard breachers and will tunnel attackers one way unless they have a Thatcher who can knock out your mute jammer. But the third strategy is called Hide and Seek. Plant the jammers around the room in hiding spots for peeking purposes. If the enemy team has a Lion or a Dokkaebi, you'll be safe from their detection, and then you can peg them when they think you're not there. Conclusion is as follows. Mute is probably one of the best operators you could ask for if you're brand new to the game. Russian Badger said it best, and I'll say it myself. If you're new to the game and you're having a hard time getting used to it, Mute is your man. He has one of the best primary weapons for a newbie, which almost guarantees headshots if you're careful and patient. His gadget is incredibly useful, and even if you die, the gadgets don't die with him, so they can maintain their usefulness and are hard counters to just about every single attacking operator who relies heavily on like electronic gadgets. Mute is an excellent operator to get the hang of. He's a great one to start with, and it's kind of safe to use him because most people aren't going to want to kill the guy who can help jam everyone else's stuff. So genuinely, I think he's a great operator to use, and lore-wise, I think he's pretty solid. Mute has pretty good lore. I like the idea that he's kind of this super genius, but is socially awkward. Not to the point that he's hard to be around, but to the point that people just feel off-put by him, and he wants to fix that. He doesn't have this arrogance of, oh, everyone else in the room is just so inferior. No, he recognizes that they're all pros in their own right, but he's not used to dealing with pros. He's not used to dealing with people who know more than he does, so he's having to come to grips with, I need to learn how to associate with these people better, and I think there's something really cool about that. I also like the idea that Thatcher, who we've seen talk down to Lion and Dokkaebi before, is actually kind of going, yeah, Mute's not that bad, guys. Give him a fair shake. So I definitely really like Mute. I think he's an excellent operator. One of my favorites to use on defense if I feel kind of overwhelmed. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comment section if you like Mute too and what you like about them. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.